Hello, welcome to the Bomb Squad podcast. I'm your host and master of ceremony, Tanner Richard Kraft. With me I have...
I'm 𝒢𝓊𝑒𝓈𝓉.
I'm Austin 𝒢𝓊𝑒𝓈𝓉.
I'm Rein 𝒮𝓁𝒂𝓁, I think.
And then we have a special guest.
Yeah, I'm Andrew Adamson Vicky Jenson. I'm the co-host of I've Been Meaning to Listen to That, music podcast where we go through albums we've been meaning to listen to and use it as a conduit to learn about each other and our guests. And it's very funny. And Tanner was a guest on, and Austin was a guest on too at one point. So yeah, and it's a lot of fun. There. You happy
It is
now?
a lot of fun. I'm always happy.
Yeah.
All right. And today, because 𝒢𝓊𝑒𝓈𝓉 threatened to murder my parents if I didn't do it, we're going to be talking about Shrek. Now, why'd you want to talk about Shrek, Joe?
So, for starters, the gun has been taken off of your parents, Tanner, that they can live happily.
Oh, thank God.
And I've also disabled the bomb. But
good.
no, seriously. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this because on the 22nd of April, Shrek turns 20.
Wow.
It has been 20 years since this movie has come out, and so much has happened since then, and the culture surrounding it has drastically evolved. So I figured this would be a fun thing to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, since Shrek came out, 9/11, it happened.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah. Rest in peace to our fallen soldiers.
What else happened?
What else happened?
What else happened though?
I went to Afghanistan. That's still going on.
Okay. Yeah.
All of this ties into Shrek.
Kanye interrupted Taylor Swift at the VMAs. That was
was
big
another
thing.
important cultural milestone.
It was a direct response to the Shrek saga, essentially.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm going to let you finish. But Shrek's one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah. You know what, though? Like, if I was at the Academy Awards for whatever, Shrek won Best Animated Feature, I would, interrupt and say, I'm going to let you finish, but Monsters, Inc. was the best animated movie of this year. Truly.
That is definitely fair. Though that actually is a fun fact. I'm pretty sure Shrek is the first movie to win Best Animated Picture at the Oscars.
And the Oscar goes to Shrek.
It is. And it was up against Monsters, Inc. and Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius.
Was it the first category? The first time
it was the first time that was a category for it. So it wasn't the first edition of it.
Okay.
I guess the closest thing to something before that was Beauty and the Beast was nominated for Best Picture in '94.
And here are the nominees for the Best Picture. Beauty and the Beast, Don Hahn producer.
Yeah.
Best Picture?
Yeah, Best Picture period. And that's when they only nominated 5. That's back when they only nominated 5 movies for it.
That's crazy. Oh.
I could be remembering wrong, but I think Snow White got an honorary.
It got an honorary Oscar of some kind.
Yeah.
It also won stuff like score and stuff like that. Animated movies had won Oscars before, but people were complaining at the Academy, why don't you celebrate animated movies enough? Yeah. And now they are properly complaining to the Academy, why do you suck at celebrating animated movies so much? Companies other than Disney release movies,
Yeah.
Is that what else did Ethan tell you to say?
Ethan is currently off screen. He has a shotgun to my temple. It's an invisible shotgun, so you can't see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shrek.
We're some kind of suicide squad. Anyway, let's get right into the movie. But more importantly, this movie came out 20 years ago. All of us are in our early to late 20s. Mm-hmm. So we'll get into the meme aspect of Shrek later, I promise. But for now, what kind of history and relationship did you guys have with Shrek as you were kids? Did you like it as a kid? Was it just something that's there? Or what was Shrek to you when you were a kid and growing up?
So I want to say 5 years old when this movie came out. So I was actually old enough to see it and remember seeing it in the theater.
Whoa.
And I remembered really enjoying it. And then we got the VHS tape of it. And that was pretty much it. If you were one of the cool kids, you had that Shrek VHS tape because that... Because I vividly remember just how fucking popular that movie was as a kid. Because we were quoting that thing nonstop in school. It was pretty much all over most advertisements at the time. I remember the cultural impact that Shrek had on popular culture at the time. And yeah, to this day, I still like it. We'll probably get more into that later. And I guess we'll talk about this more in a later podcast sometime in the future, but I still think this is the best Shrek movie. But that is just me.
That's valid. You are valid, Joe.
Thank you.
I'm going to go against the grain. You are not valid.
I hate you, Tanner.
Actually, like, it's funny too, because I taught at like a preschool. I taught at a preschool. I did daycare and stuff like that. I worked with kids. And kids still quote Shrek. Kids still quote Shrek. And like, they had like the bit, one adorable kid at the preschool was like, yeah, you don't like parfaits? I love parfaits. And she would just like, it was just like, she would like occasionally just like forget that she said, like, she would say it like almost every day. Like she would say maybe like an hour would pass and then she said, oh, I didn't say the Shrek thing again. And then she would say it again and like do the whole bit again and again. And it's like, yeah, like this is an incredibly quotable movie. Like there's a reason it kind of like sticks in your craw, even like as a like we're all of us are like in our 20s and stuff like that. Even though like it's memed and stuff like that, there's a reason. First of all, like it's memed like so much. I don't want to like talk too much, but like there's a reason it's memed so much. But it's also like there's craftsmanship here. It's not a lazy movie per se, So yeah, I don't know. Like there's a reason it sticks in people's craw like for this long too.
Yeah, my experience with it is very, very, very normal for, I guess, someone my age. I saw it as a kid, eventually on VHS. I loved it. Watched it a lot. Yeah. I think I had a Shrek Halloween costume at some point. Really not a lot to say. It was a good time.
When I was growing up, there seemed to be two people who made animated movies that my dad bought on VHS for me and my sister to watch. It was just Disney and Don Bluth. And both of those studios had sort of burned me at a point because Fox and the Hound made me cry a lot and The Black Cauldron scared the hell out of me. And then Don Bluth was just kind of, the movies just seemed scarier in general. Like All Dogs Go to Heaven, it was really scary for me as a kid. So DreamWorks was this completely new player just thrown in there out of nowhere. And it felt like that studio was more for whatever I was than those other two because DreamWorks hadn't made a movie that scared me yet. There wasn't like a dangerous movie in their catalog. So that was nice to have a new guy on the street. And then there was the neighborhood pool. I grew up in a neighborhood called Seven Pines, and they played Smash Mouth a lot at the pool.
Hell yeah!
They seem cool. They seem like really cool dudes.
Back in like 1999 or something when the song got big because of Mystery Men. So I was hearing All Star a lot at the pool. And then lo and behold, Shrek starts out and right out of the gate, it's just All Star. And I was like, this is awesome. So yeah, I got to have the usual childhood where kids are saying like donkey back and forth at each other. I liked Shrek 2 a lot more growing up because I was like 7 when Shrek 1 came out, but it was still a huge deal when Shrek came out. And I remember it fondly for various reasons.
I'm like you and Joe V, in which I remember it very fondly, though perhaps more fondly. I'm not sure if I've ever led on to this before, but when I was a kid, my favorite pop culture thing was SpongeBob. SpongeBob was my god, right? If SpongeBob is my god, Shrek is my Jesus Christ.
Who are the 12 apostles? Like, let's go through the 12 apostles. Who are the 12 apostles?
Who are the 12 apostles? SpongeBob, Shrek, Timmy Turner, Jimmy Neutron, Spider-Man.
Very cool.
Batman. Full House.
Full House is wonderful.
not just one character, the entire house from Full House.
The house itself is a character to me.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm running out of ideas.
Who's Judas? Who's Judas in your little metaphor?
Judas, who betrayed me?
Yeah.
Spider-Man, because The Amazing Spider-Man 2 almost ended me. I hated that movie so much. Almost ruined my life.
It would have ruined my life if I remembered it. I'm sure if I like watch it again, it would be a violation to my my being. But like I haven't seen it. I like it just left my mind the second it happened.
Guys, is it time to guys? Is it time to make? Should we take our mask off and reveal this is actually a psychoanalysis podcast on Richard Tanner Craft or Tanner Richard Craft? That's the real reason we're here.
Never-ending agony.
Joe had the great this great idea. Just we'll tell him it's a Shrek podcast or something. He'll buy it. He called him a fucking idiot too, which I thought was a bit intense, but
That's right. This was a ploy, Tanner.
Tanner, you showed up to my house drunk, and it was really awful. My mom was there. It's like
we'll tell him it's an award show, and then we'll just read The Rise of Skywalker each and every time.
He's not answering any of my calls. Like maybe if we tell him it's a Shrek cast, he'll come.
Tanner, Shrek isn't a real movie. Shrek never existed. Where there's something.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Rein. Hey, Austin. Like Tanner's been acting up lately. He's been saying things like Shrek is his Jesus Christ and stuff like that. I think we need to talk.
Yeah, a Shrek meme? I don't know what he's talking about. Is he talking about Pepe? Is he
my God, guys, let me talk about my childhood experience.
Okay, yeah. So, like, Shrek is your Jesus Christ, yeah.
Yeah, Shrek is my... I was obsessed with Shrek as a kid. Though, oddly enough, I only really had Shrek 2 and 3 on DVD as a kid. I didn't have a copy of Shrek 1 as a kid. So whenever I got to see it, it was like, it was an event.
Wow.
It was calling the whole town, the birth of Jesus has arrived. That's what was watching Shrek 1 was like as a kid. Because, we didn't have your Netflixes or your Hulus or your Paramount Plus or whatever. We didn't have none of that when I was a kid.
By the way, I don't think Tanner has read the Bible. Apparently.
I have a copy of the Bible in the next room.
Yeah, but you're like, everyone showed up. Like, okay, I guess that's true, yeah.
3 old men came into my room and said, "You want to watch Shrek?" Yeah. And I was like, "Who are you?" I was like, we bring gifts.
We offer frankincense, myrrh, and Shrek.
But no, I was obsessed with Shrek as a kid, but I never really got to see the first movie a lot as a kid. But it most certainly impacted me as a kid. I loved the Shrek movies. Shrek, as a kid who was ugly and stupid, I really related to a lot to Shrek.
Mm-hmm. Your breath smelled.
Yeah, my breath smelled terrible. People ran. I would walk into a room and people would run away screaming.
Ethan can confirm this.
Yeah. You had long macaroni ears before getting plastic surgery.
I had to fix these. No.
Yeah.
But really, because it's as a kid, I had a lot of. I'm autistic, as I say every day of my life. When I was in the, I would have meltdowns at elementary school that was real bad. That they would have to get the other kids away from me. And in a weird way, I related to Shrek, and everyone running away from Shrek in that regard.
Wow.
I loved Shrek. Shrek was my idol. SpongeBob was the part of me that was optimistic and hopeful. Shrek was the part of me that hated everyone.
Yeah.
And, those were my pop culture idols. So growing up as a kid, Shrek meant the world to me. But like I said, I never really got to watch the first movie all that much as I'd like to. But now as a kid, you can just pop in your Hulu and take a look at it like I did this morning. And I did take a look at it this morning.
Because we've kind of moved away from physical media, physical VHSs or DVDs and stuff like that. It's actually harder to rewatch a thing over and over because even if it's even if it's on Hulu or something, it could be taken off any day. And I rented this on YouTube basically, and I have 48 hours to watch it, and this is the only period. So after this, I'm gonna rewatch it, just put it on a loop and rewatch it and spend my day doing that. But otherwise, I couldn't just I can't just if I have a Shrek urge or a Shrek impulse, I can't watch it again. So yeah.
I do own the entire Shrek collection on Blu-ray. I'm not sure where I put it, but I have it somewhere.
Tanner, what were the opportunities you watched Shrek then? Like what context do you just like watch it then? How do you?
Well,
watch
I
it?
mostly watched the sequels, but when I watched the first ones, it's when it was like we had charter cable growing up.
Oh,
So
wow.
when it would be on demand or on like one of the channels, sometimes it would play on Nickelodeon, I think maybe. Not very often, but sometimes. Whenever it would come on, it was always an event because it was a rare, special thing. I'm pretty sure as a kid, I watched the DVD release of Shrek the Ride more than I watched the first Shrek movie. Because I had a DVD of Shrek the Ride for some reason, but I didn't have a DVD of the first movie. I don't know how that happened.
Were you like, did you watch it and were you like going like, you were like putting your hands up and going, whoa?
Yes, actually, I would do that. I would do that when someone told me it was from a ride. I'd be like, oh, I get it now. I didn't have friends as a kid.
Like putting like a bar over your like, you know, your
I'd be
your
like,
couch.
Mom, get me the broom. Warp speed.
Tanner had VR before anyone did.
Is that the 3D thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
I have since actually ridden the ride when I went to Universal Studios back in 2015. It was when I went to Universal Studios, and I got to tell you, I waited in line for 30 minutes, and not worth it.
It's not even a long wait.
What happens? What happens in the ride? Actually,
The
I've
movie
never seen it.
happens. The movie happens, and sometimes your cart moves a little.
Lame.
Cool.
It was one of the early ones of those rides for Universal. So I mean, it's not bad, but it's definitely like, you guys haven't upgraded it yet. Like,
Yeah.
make me do a flip, and then we'll talk.
Tanner walked out of the Shrek 3D ride thinking to himself, they replaced Terminator 2 3D for this?
All right. 1995. I was expulsed from my mother, and no, yeah. My parents had like just like we used to have like a big old like a cupboard full of VHSs that we would just like when I was a kid, and we would just like rotate like when my mom, you know, like it's actually like funny because like I used to think of myself as like someone who was not like very like pop culture versed as a kid, but like now when I look back at it, I was like, oh, there's like I had most of the Disney Renaissance catalog in my cupboard, and like the Muppets and like and Shrek I think was either a DVD or a VHS. I don't remember exactly, but like yeah, it was the one that. But like as a kid, and when you're like very young and maybe not, you don't discern quality quite yet, it all kind of blended together in this malaise of just like bright colors to look at while your mom just like my mom like pours a drink and goes like, oh God. It's just like, just like something to like and like it all kind of flattens out. And as an adult, the thing that's been fun is like rewatching some of those things I watched as a kid and seeing which ones hold up, which ones exceed. I rewatched Aladdin and like the Little Mermaid and stuff like that recently, and I was like, this is really good. Like this is the quality. They even though like Disney's like a conglomerate and stuff, like there were artists that poured love into these movies and stuff like that, and like it's incredible. And then like for example, like Aladdin 1, is great, and then Aladdin. But like as a kid, I associated the Aladdin 2, like, the Return of Jafar at the same quality level. I didn't understand quality. So it was just like, I thought of him like, yeah, Jafar's back. He's there. It's great. The saga continues, when it's like actually just like, it's just like a bunch of like animators like with like guns to their heads. It's just like, you have to finish this in an hour. You have to draw all these characters in an hour, basically. And it's just like, oh God, you can't erase, you can't do anything like that. And then like, so like this is one of them that I was like really interested to like see, watch again, basically. So that's my Shrek history, really. I don't really remember. I just like remember key moments and stuff like that, but I don't like, I don't have like a super big attachment to it per se, but that's, yeah. So we'll get into it soon.
Yeah, it's not your Jesus Christ, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's my Nebuchadnezzar, like cool guy.
That's a good joke. Yeah. So, like you said, don't really remember as a kid, but you've had an opportunity to rewatch it as an adult. So,
Yeah.
I present this question to the whole class. Now that we've all revisited as adults and we've watched it, we get to have big boy grown-up opinions on Shrek. And Rein, I'll let you go first. What did you guys think of Shrek overall?
I was left. This is the weirdest movie I had to watch for this podcast. Like, it wasn't really there wasn't like a straightforward narrative. There was like some host that came on and was like, oh, we're going to figure out who's the best singer. Then these characters who weren't introduced at all, they all started having musical numbers. And some that I could have sworn were in the sequels.
Oh my God, you're talking about Far, Far Away Idol.
And then they all sang.
Yeah, so this is shortest. Like you said, it was a movie. I thought it was like 5 minutes.
And then
why was Simon Cowell there?
But in all actuality, so it was a cute movie. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna have very little to say on this podcast, to be honest, because I don't have too much of a take. It's a cute little movie. The anti-Disney stuff has probably aged pretty well, all things considered, and it is interesting historical artifact in the sense that I guess we'll get into this later, but how the sort of very snarky sense of humor that I guess you would have seen in stuff like The Simpsons and stuff, and probably other probably some kids shows in the 90s that sort of started to emerge, but it wasn't really a thing for theatrical kids movies until Shrek. That's just sort of the film that started.
Yeah.
Like pretty much all mainstream American like anime movies have a sense of humor similar to this one, more or less, I think, ever since. But yeah, as a movie, pretty cute, pretty nice.
You said snarky humor, and I got terrified that I was going to discover Joss Whedon had something to do with this.
He comes back.
The reoccurring villain. Joss Whedon did not write Shrek. Thank God.
He did contribute to Toy Story, like the jokes in Toy Story.
Oh my God, you're right.
Wait, I have a better idea.
Yeah. Next week, we're doing a podcast on Toy Story.
Is that true?
No.
Okay.
No, next week we're doing...
Tanner, I keep telling you that just yelling a slur isn't a movie.
I'll never learn. Joe V, upon revisiting Shrek, Joe V, what do you think?
I still think this movie is really solid. I had a very interesting experience watching this. And this is going to lead me to a couple of comparisons I had. I watched the original DVD copy of this from when it first came out. I did not know that it was going to be formatted in 4:3, and I forgot that it also has the song Hallelujah in it.
Oh yeah.
So it's really
Snyder. Okay.
So it's stretching it to say that I can compare this to the Snyder cut. However, this might also be a bit of a stretch. But we all know the themes of the movie. Never judge a book by its cover. Shrek, he's kind of a bad boy, and people judge him based on his appearance.
Yeah.
It also, again, it features the song Hallelujah.
What the hell are you getting at?
This kind of has a comparison to a theme that runs throughout the entirety of the show, known as the OC.
He did it again.
Well, now it's not as funny that I guessed it correctly.
Well, expound on that. What do you mean by that?
It's a stretch. Because the main character of that show is he's like this kid who grew up in a really bad part of California, and he gets adopted by rich people who live in Orange County.
Flash trader.
And but yeah, no, that's a stretch. I just wanted to make that. I wanted to make that joke. But in actuality, revisiting it, it was actually a really fun movie to go back and rewatch. The one thing that I did notice, because it's when people talk about DreamWorks, one of the big things that people like to bring up, it's oh yeah, those are the guys that put in a lot of pop culture references in their movies. There's not as much in this as I remembered.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this movie's just fun, man. It's got a solid beginning, middle, end. You got characters that you like. I can see why this movie has lasted for 20 years. and has resonated with people all this time.
Yeah, and has been selected by the Film Registry for cultural significance, as it was last year.
First non-Disney film to hold that honor. I have the luck of being married to someone who grew up in a sort of like religious culty environment, so he didn't get to see a lot of movies when he was a kid. And so this was my husband's first time watching Shrek.
Wow.
Oh!
That's really interesting.
Hold on, can we get him on the podcast? That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
So dig this. Back when this premiered at Cannes in 2001, Jeffrey Katzenberg eventually talked about what that was like. Apparently he was like sweating on the forehead and his heart was pounding because, you know, it's a Cannes Film Festival and then you've got an ogre pooting in the water. And I had a very similar experience. It was just like him recounting it. The first 10 minutes, you are just terrified watching Shrek with this person as a serious adult, as like a movie that you're choosing to watch. And then it wins the audience over. Like it did it exactly like at Cannes. Sid was laughing about 20 minutes in, completely on board. One thing I found about Shrek is that its ability to quickly run between plot points is one of its great strengths because it's like watching The Room. You know, we all have moments that we remember from the movie The Room that we're kind of waiting for when we rewatch it. And in Shrek, the transitions to get to the scenes that we remember and that we like, seamless, really quick.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really great on a rewatch.
Yeah, it's like there's a moment where like, Shrek's like, but how are we going to get to the castle? And then like, because they set up like the donkey dragon relationship and then the dragon shows up and like, oh, that's how we get there. Like that's a really great screenwriting there, basically.
Yeah, it's a very tight script.
It was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay for a reason.
Since Austin brought up efficiency in its storytelling and how well just like everything's like moves at like a very smooth pace. This movie does it better than something that it beat out at the box office that we talked about last week, Atlantis. Because, it's like, compare the two movies. You actually get to know Shrek by the time they actually get to the castle. And, like, like, every single moment in Shrek, it feels like it's earned. Like, there's, like, enough build-up to, like, each, like, big event. And, like, by the time it gets there, it's just satisfying.
Yeah. I was kind of dreading. I honestly was a little dreading this. Like, I don't want to watch this movie. But like,
what if it sucks?
Yeah, truly. Like, I was like, just like everyone has every like it's been dissected to death. Everyone like has an opinion on it. Like most, except your husband apparently. But like a lot of people have opinions on this movie, and like everyone, it's interesting because like so like a lot of us watched it as a kid. But watching it again, it's a pretty perfect screenplay. It's like really quietly. It's like I know, and like in hindsight, it doesn't seem subversive because like so many movies are kind of like aping off of Shrek, in a sense. Like they're kind of like taking the Shrek.
It's the Seinfeld isn't funny effect.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
or like
it
Monty
did it first.
I saw this as like the next step evolution from Aladdin, basically. Aladdin and Hercules, where like, it's the first time they're using like a, like a celebrity, like, and like kind of featuring him as like the guy, where in The Little Mermaid, like there are celebrity voices in it, but like they're kind of doing characters and stuff like that. But like the Aladdin's like Robin Williams is the genie, it's him, they let him improvise the lines and stuff like that. And then like this is the next evolution where it's like mostly celebrities, except Mike Myers, who's actually like doing a voice. He's like, it's like parodied to death and everyone has like a bad Shrek impression, but he's doing a voice. He's doing an original character, kind of,
He's doing a voice acting, which is more than I can say about most of the cast, but I'll get into that.
It's interesting. I guess I'm sure you guys know this, but apparently he made the studio like have them re-record all his dialogue because he did almost all of it. He's like, hey, I want to do this with a Scottish accent, actually. Let's do it all over again.
Yeah, that's true. He recorded almost all of the dialogue, and then he's like, what if I did it in a Scottish accent?
That honestly does not surprise me because apparently Mike Myers is like an insane perfectionist.
Yeah, and this is also after they recorded most of the dialogue of a very different version of the movie with Chris Farley as Shrek.
Yeah, someone hurt you so bad. Someone hurt you many years ago.
Leave my parents out of this.
Yeah. And then he died, so they didn't finish that version.
Mm-hmm.
According to Jeffrey Katzenberg, that decision to re-record all the dialogue, they had finished some of the animation, so it cost $4 million to go back and do everything now that Shrek is Scottish.
Yeah.
And then they get the call, like the animation department gets the call, and he hangs up the phone and is like, I guess I'm not seeing my kids till graduation. You know, just like, I guess I'm not leaving my cubicle.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
But yeah, like I grew to appreciate the screenplay and also the art design and like, you know, the subversive humor. It's like very Simpsons-esque. I like what Rein said about it. It's like very Simpsons-y, you know, introducing kids to that level of like humor and just like throwaway gags and like kind of like riffing off of Disney, riffing off of fairy tales and stuff like that, and treating them with irreverence, but also having a core story, like a Joseph Campbell story that's satisfying and like emotional and stuff like that. And also like teaches a nice lesson to kids. So just like, you know, who's deserving of a happy ending and like, you know, seeing that people who might not look appealing or like be appealing initially, like have layers and stuff like that. Like that's a nice lesson for kids to learn. And it's like, yeah. So, also just like some of the animation holds up for the most part.
Yeah.
It's like, it's weird because it's like, maybe it's partly because of the limitations of the animation at the time. But like the there's something a little off and weird, like ugly about some of the character designs. Like obviously Shrek is supposed to be ugly and stuff like that, but Donkey, who's like kind of like, you know, he is like, there's something kind of off and weird about his face and stuff like that. And like Princess Fiona and like Farquaad is like instead of like the Toy Story, like, oh, like, you know, broad caricaturized like Disney characters, it's like it's like a person. It's like a person face with like more realistic features, and it's like disgusting to look at, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like, but at the same time, it teeters on it not like scaring children, though. You know, it's not like the art design is not like, you know, like so off-putting that it's gonna give kids nightmares. But it's just like a little off, a little weird, a little like non-traditional, and like, yeah, it's like a real interesting balance they kind of pull off. Like with Monsters Inc., like they kind of lead, even that, like the characters are supposed to be scary, but like they're still like very cute and adorable and pleasant to look at generally. But like this is like kind of like avant-garde and like how like disgusting they all look, you know.
That is fair.
Farquaad, it's ironic. Farquaad's like the only like not weird looking person because he's such of a caricature.
Like, yeah, it's like,
I mean, it's because he just looks very accurate to what Michael Eisenberg looks like in real life.
Yeah.
Building off of what you said, Andrew, with the animation, there were times where I felt like I could really see the animation in a weird way. I don't know how to explain it. Like, of course you see the animation, but it's like, I felt like I could really see the face go this emotion and then go to this emotion, then go to that emotion.
Sure.
Like you could see the seams on a costume.
Yeah.
And it's because it's still early CG. This is
Yeah.
5 years after Toy Story.
But it broke ground. It's like pretty groundbreaking how they like, you know.
It broke new ground.
It broke new ground!
And like the backgrounds, like I know that they don't do matte paintings, but like the backgrounds and like the environments are really incredible and like really beautiful to look at, you know?
36 unique locations in Shrek, which was the most for any other computer animated film at the time.
Wow.
But yeah, I want to build off what you're saying. My overall thoughts on Shrek was revisiting as an adult. I really liked it. It's awesome. It is fun. And like you said, it is paced so efficiently. Like Austin was saying, it goes from plot point to beat very efficiently. It never feels like there's a wasted moment. Every moment is important in building towards something. Every moment matters. There's not a wasted moment. It's a lot like Get Out in that regard.
Yeah.
Why is that my go-to example?
I mean, they're both very accurate in the comparison you're making in that
There's
specific
never
instance.
a wasted moment in the screenplay.
Yeah,
Every moment is important to a characterization or building up a plot point or setting something up. There is never a wasted moment. It's a great script.
My initial criticism was like, there are too many montages, you know, there are too many, but like, they're all like, you know, but they're all jokes. They're all like jokes, first of all, to set the tone of the movie, But then also like there's a montage where like, Fiona and Shrek are like falling in love, and it's just like a bunch of funny jokes. And it's like, it in that 1 minute montage, you kind of set up, oh, they're falling in love. And then you could get on to the next thing. And it's like really paced really well. And like, yeah.
Just overall, it's the acting. That one's a bit more hit and miss. Like, none of the acting's bad, don't get me wrong, but Mike Myers is clearly the only one that knows how to do a voice acting. This is a problem with a lot of animated movies nowadays. They get these big celebrities that they're not bad. They're doing good performances, but they don't inject. Austin, why are you looking at me like I'm a maniac?
This is John Lithgow erasure. Don't you dare.
John Lithgow's good.
Oh, yeah.
John Lithgow's great.
My apologies. John Lithgow is great.
And Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's
Eddie
great
Murphy.
in this.
Okay, so the problem is Cameron Diaz. I wanted to not look like a sexism, but you made me look like a sexism.
Okay, well, actually,
Yeah.
hey. Before you shit on her, I will say that a lot of times
I'm not gonna shit on her. God.
before you get out the torture instruments, if we're going to be like nitpicky, I feel like I guess a lot of times through Eddie Murphy's performance, he had it could just be more how it was written. Like he only had so many instances to really act, but a lot of times it felt like more he was doing his stand-up routine or something with the character, like just
That's
joke
fair.
after joke after joke, which is sort of how he's written. So he's sort of a gray area, and also I mean,
I think he lands his like dramatics as dramatic as this movie gets. Like when he's like confronting Shrek. I like that we're talking about this so seriously. When he's like confronting Shrek about like his like the walls he's putting up. Like why are you this way? And then and the moment that's like I found very like subversive and really awesome in this movie is the moment where he's like, you're mean to me, you're an asshole to me, you are shitty, but like you saved me and we're friends and stuff like that. Like that is like a moment where like you take that for granted, like, oh, Shrek is gonna roll his eyes every time Donkey says something stupid, but then it builds up where Donkey's like, yo, this guy is like mean to me, like why are you pushing me away? I'm nice to you, I helped you out and stuff.
My favorite scene in the whole movie, I think, is probably the one where Shrek and Donkey are have by the campfire against the stars and just talking about life.
Yeah. It's good.
So yeah, Eddie Murphy is good in it. So go back to
Cameron.
yelling
about Cameron Diaz. I'm just saying it leaves a little to be desired at times, because a lot of the times it feels like there were a couple of times where Cameron Diaz delivers a line and I thought, was that the best take?
And probably was, honestly.
Yeah, it probably was. Cameron Diaz, I'm not like gonna be like, oh, she's this amazing actress, but she's a fine enough actress. But voice acting is a different beast from acting in a normal movie.
That's true.
It is a completely different animal. And what works for one medium doesn't necessarily work for the other.
Do you think she should have had a Scottish accent when she became an ogre?
No, that would have been dumb as hell. It would have hated the movie.
It would have been, and it would have
Letterboxd.
It would have been, and it would have also been awful because remember when she did that for like Gangs of New York or whatever?
Oh yeah, she had an Irish accent.
Oh, I ain't started working yet.
That could have really ruined the movie.
I don't think Cameron Diaz's performance is the best, but I do like that character a lot. That's a great character because like
Fiona's a great character because she subverts every expectation.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if the twist that she was an ogre the whole time was in the marketing. I don't think.
No.
I think that was like a surprise. That's a surprise. That's a great.
It is.
If you were if you were to pitch this movie and Shrek didn't come out, like you would be like, and this had like a troubled like development period of just like people saying no, don't do this movie, and then it just saying all the plot points out loud. Like there's a talking donkey, and then there's this little short guy who like waterboards this gingerbread man, and he's like just like all it's when you put.
It sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, when you look at because Shrek is such a cultural figure now, it's like Shrek, like, but just like when you lay it all out and say it as is, it's absurd. It's absurd and subversive and weird and also good, So yeah,
it's great. But I will say, if I did have any criticism for the movie, beyond Cameron Diaz's acting, and this transitions to my next talking point of. We'll get to it. I think there's a lot of the jokes in this movie that have not aged the best because I am missing the context I need to understand them.
Yeah.
This movie's humor, and this is a really signature of a lot of other DreamWorks movies too. Not their best movies, How to Train Your Dragon, but that's besides the point. There's a lot of jokes in this movie that are just like, haha, pop culture reference. Like, for example, right after they cross the rickety old bridge for the first time, and Shrek goes to Donkey, he's like,
"That'll do, Donkey. That'll do."
It's a Babe reference.
Dude, it's a Babe reference.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
Yeah, like you just said, I did not get that as a kid. So, but I love that line as a kid still because I thought that was funny. But there are other things in the movie where I was watching them. I'm like, I think this is referencing something. I don't know what it's referencing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it still works because the acting is good and they don't try to rely on it too much. But there is a lot of jokes in this movie where it's like, what about kids that are 10 now? Are they going to get half the jokes? So I guess this leads on to, has the movie aged well? Because a lot of the humor relies on pop culture references. Joe V, you go, because I know you wanted to talk about that.
I'm going to say yes. I think it does age really well in that regard because going back and rewatching this, there were not as many as I would like normally expect from a DreamWorks movie because a lot of the time, like, they just throw that shit in whenever they can. This one is a little bit more sparse, and I want to say for some of them, at the very least, the things that they reference are like still like either like culturally relevant now or like people like still remember them fondly. Like the one that I think of is like the Matrix reference because we got to keep in mind the Matrix came out 2 years after. 2 years before Shrek.
The Matrix came out 2 years after Shrek.
Yeah.
They knew.
They
knew, and they let it happen.
The Wachowskis watched this scene and like, you know, like I want to do this cool kick, from Shrek. It's like,
that's what the Wachowskis thought.
The entire the Matrix is a meme. Anyway, the Matrix came out 2 years before Shrek, and that was like right at like the forefront of like pop culture at the time, but it's also still one of those movies that people like look back, they finally remember it, so it's still like is in people's minds. I mean, that doesn't mean that it holds up. That's debatable, but I mean, compared to like some of the other like DreamWorks things where they just throw in a pop culture reference, like this is like night and day compared to some of them.
Yeah.
Like this does it a lot better than most DreamWorks movies.
I agree with Joe.
It's also like they do riffs on fairy tales and not even Disney as much, like fairy tales. Like most kids have no fairy tales,
Right.
Just like this like cage is too small is a very funny joke and a kid will get it. So it's pretty relatively restrained, but it's also, I feel, where it's like, even if it is a pop culture reference, the reason you resonated with, that'll do, donkey, that'll do, is just like it's a funny cadence. It's a funny ogre in a funny voice talking to a pretend donkey, and he's doing. If you're a kid, you might not get the reference, but it's just like, yeah, it's funny, just like the what the mirror being the game show guy, with the Bachelor thing, doing that riff. And it's just like, I've never seen that show, but it's just like, yeah, I get what it's doing a little bit,
I was going to say the dating game had been off for like decades by that point. Mm-hmm. And it was funny to me as a kid. It's still funny now.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's just like, sometimes it's just like funny noises and sounds and colors, just put them together and it works,
Yeah. Oh my God, I just realized if they made Shrek today, that scene of the mirror, it'd be like just Tinder. Where you like swipe right or left.
He was like,
do not. Hey, they want to reboot it at Illumination. Do not give them ideas.
Hello, the Minions. I have an idea for the Shrek reboot.
I knew they wanted to reboot it, but I didn't know that Illumination was doing it. That's sad.
Oh, that's weird.
Illumination and DreamWorks are owned by the same company now.
Okay.
But like, dangers of capitalism, yada yada yada.
There's like that moment where like Farquaad is sitting in his like sex bed and he's like looking at Fiona like, and he's like, ooh, he's like, dude, he's in that fuck pose. He's just like, So
he was ready. He was locked and
just
loaded.
like ready to crank off to like a Tinder profile, you know?
He looks down at everything.
God. Austin, what about you? What say you about these pop culture references?
Yeah, I think the dating game is the most dated one. I think the Matrix kick spoof actually.
The dating game.
Yeah, the dating game.
Yeah, it's dated.
What are you? I'm saying dating.
It's
What?
dated though, because it's dating. Yeah.
It's a joke.
Okay. I thought I was saying something wrong.
I was just repeating your point back. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. I think the dating game one is the most dated. I think the Matrix one actually adds a visual element to it where she adjusts her hair, so that justifies it. I think that the like Jurassic Park and the Temple of Doom references are just nice visual homages. And I mostly remember the later Shrek movies for having the bigger problem of having too many pop culture references.
Yep.
I never thought that was too much of a thing with Shrek 1, and that's kind of what tanked the franchise over time, was that they took the weird like postmodern riffing and made it obnoxious.
Yeah,
Shrek the Third is the biggest problem with that.
If it was just this and maybe Shrek 2, these movies would be looked on more fondly. You know, everyone would be like, yeah, Shrek. I remember those movies. They're funny, you know. But like the fact that the brand has been diluted so much and the aftershock of this approach to filmmaking, animated filmmaking, has like, you know, permeated like so much of our current culture. It's like we look at it with resentment, like, oh, fucking Shrek ruining, you know, good movies and stuff like that.
That's fair. Rein, what say you?
You guys really said everything I'd have to say.
I think when I wrote that question, I remembered there being more pop culture references in Shrek. And then I watched the movie and I was like, oh, there's not nearly as many as I thought there was.
Yeah.
But still, like I said, even the ones that are there, it works. It becomes a problem in the franchise later on. I think with Shrek the Third, it's really the only one where it's a real problem. The other two sequels, I think, work fine, but Shrek the Third, it's a real problem. We'll get to that at some point in the future. But for this one, yeah, I think the memes, the pop culture references are fine. But pop culture, Shrek is such a large figure in pop culture of itself that I want to say 5 or 6 years ago, a post came online about Shrek called Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life.
Yeah.
Which was basically a story of Shrek sexually assaulting a child, written lovingly from the child's perspective. It is one of the most bizarre things I've ever read. And it's just escalated from there with Shrek becoming this weird, not just a meme, but like a surrealist meme.
Yeah.
It's like if Salvador Dali made memes, he would make these Shrek memes.
Yeah.
But Shrek has become such a meme. It's become such a thing in of itself beyond the movies these past 5-10 years or so. So do you think the fact that Shrek became a meme at all changes your perspective on the movie? And if it does, how so?
I was it did, in the fact that I was expecting it to be like, how should I put this? I was expecting there to be like have proto absurdist meme humor in it, but it really didn't. I don't know, honestly, I feel like if there is a reason why Shrek has become associated with memes so much, it's just because it's this property that a bunch of people watched as a kid, so it just became a good target for memes, and then it just sort of snowballed from there.
It snowballs into Shrek comes into your house and assaults you.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, like it's like there's a lesser version happening with Toy Story. You know, obviously nothing that crazy, but like there are a lot of Toy Story memes and stuff like that.
Yeah. I have been noticing that lately. We haven't seen Buzz assaulting anyone yet. I hope to God we never do.
But it's like
that original Shrek story is a masterwork in horror writing. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. Yeah, I like my view of it is like I don't care that much because it's like you know, Shrek's an imperfect movie. It's like well written, but it's not like my favorite animated movie or whatever. But like it's like, but I watched this and it's like there's a purity to it. You know, there's a purity to like, even though like it's like subversive and like there's like some gross out humor and stuff like that. It's like trying to rattle the cage of Disney a little bit, and like kind of take the piss out of it a little bit, and like having an irreverent, you know, approach to it's kind of like more. There's a heart there. It's like it's Shrek-esque in the way like Shrek's like he's like being an asshole because he's scared of like he's annoyed and scared that everyone's like mean to him and stuff like that. So like when I look at Shrek the movie, it's not Shrek's fault. It's not like Shrek's fault. It's not the movie's fault that like people took that and ran with it in that direction. Like there's nothing in this movie beyond maybe instilling some irreverent sensibility in kids that would, that is to blame for, that's it. Like, just like maybe, like having a bit of like, just like, cynicism towards like Disney or whatever. That's really it. Like that's nothing. Yeah. So I don't know. You can't really control what happens after you put something out. They just like wanted to put out a good movie with a good script and like fun animation and stuff, so
I agree. Austin, do you have any thoughts on the memification of Shrek and how it changes your perspective?
Yeah, there's a quote that I found in the Wikipedia article. I think it's from an article by, I'll put the information right here. The Shrek franchise represents everything that was initially exciting and then quickly patronizing about the early 2000s. It's symbolic of so many things we briefly loved before quickly realizing their emptiness. It's like I saw a meme that was like that just all encapsulated. It was Shrek with like his head all photoshopped, that his neck is like doing that weird Windows 95 error thing. And it says, you better check yourself before you Shrek yourself. And it was like one of those very empty, like early aughts, like phrases, but now it's all about Shrek. And I know that the internet also has this way where since the dawn of the internet, one of people's few tricks to get attention is to like sexualize something that's not supposed to be, like Sonic the Hedgehog. Just like it's a whole thing about fan fiction. People just come on and they're like, what if we did this property, but horny? And that's just the lack of people being creative, and it always seems to hit. So that's one of the reasons that probably came about.
It's just like to intentionally get a rise out of people.
Yeah, it's classic trolling. Fortunately, yeah, just like Andrew and everybody else, like it didn't change the impact of the movie for me. I gotta say, back when everybody was saying Shrek is love, Shrek is life during my first year of college, I wasn't super about it. But then when I was watching this now that it's all died down in classic like uncool person fashion, I was following Sid around all night and I was like, it's all ogre now. Like I'm using the memes now that they've disappeared.
All right, Joe V. You're the only one who didn't have anything to say about the memification of Shrek. So what do you have?
I honestly do not have too much to add to it. The memes are fun, but they don't affect the movie. The memes they don't affect going back and rewatching Shrek for me in any regard. It's like, yeah, those memes are fun. That they exist on the internet, but I do think that Shrek, just as a movie, like the first one, it holds its own candle. It stands on its own. It's a
candle pulled out of his ear, like
the candle pulled out of its ear. Yeah, the memes are fun, if not a little bit too much. I think they kind of need to die down.
One more thing I'll say about Austin's point about just like how, Austin didn't find it very funny, but then he'll like, whisper to his husband and stuff like that. It's kind of the same thing as I see it parallel to like how Tanner watched Shrek as a kid and didn't understand the Babe reference, but found it funny anyways, and just like the Matrix joke. Most kids haven't seen the Matrix at that point, but then just like viewing it, it's just like, yeah, slow-mo kick. Like it's funny, and then just like the fact that it's like, happening is why the Shrek memes are kind of funny. It means nothing. It's like a Shrek pun and like an absurd image. And it's like, that by that entering our public consciousness, like it becomes funny. Just like the fact that you look at it and see that it's a riff on something, you go like, oh, that's funny, because it's like the thing I saw, So I think it's like kind of maybe there's a connection there, but I don't think it's anything deeper than that. Yeah, really.
Ooh, this is like academic hell, where you're trying to deconstruct why a disturbing thing happens, and then the reason that it happened is just because people find it funny. It's just inherently humorous.
Yeah. Yeah, but the Joker made this meme. He was like, like Robert De Niro's like, wait a second, you're saying that like it's all Logan now is funny?
It is, and I'm tired of pretending it's not.
Yeah.
All right, I have a quick lightning round of stuff I want to throw at you guys.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Because I've been passively reading the IMDb trivia during this entire podcast, and there is a lot of insanity with this movie. For example, All-Star by Smash Mouth, that was never actually intended to be in the movie. They just put that in there for test screenings.
It was a placeholder song.
But it tested so well. They kept it, and they're like, all right, Smash Mouth, record a cover of this 60s song for the ending.
That's fun.
The film's art director, Douglas Rogers, visited a magnolia plantation in South Carolina to help figure out the look for Shrek Swamp. While he was there, he ended up getting chased by an alligator.
Yeah.
Miami Vice.
Like animators would like take mud baths to like see how it looks and stuff.
They wanted to see how mud would draw on. That was actually going to be my next one. They wanted to see how mud would go down people's skins and how it would look.
Yeah. Like love was put into this. They didn't like just put it out, really.
Yeah. Alan Rickman was originally going to be Farquaad, but he then left the project so he could do Harry Potter.
That's good too, though.
Can I, since we're bringing up facts, can I bring up a fact about the two directors? So Vikki Jensen, there's not much really to talk about her filmography after this movie, because like the two notable things she did after this were Shark Tale and the forgotten 2009 romantic comedy with Alexis Bledel, post-grad. Andrew Adamson, I'm sorry, has a much more interesting post-Shrek career. So he directed the sequel to Shrek. He did Shrek 2. He's also the director of the first two Narnia movies over at Disney. So he goes from DreamWorks to Disney. But before Shrek, two of his biggest notable credits, he was on the visual effects team for Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It checks out.
Incredible.
You know, it is cool that like there's a female director though. That's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah,
it is cool
for a animated movie and a movie this big that was successful. You know, and a hit.
Yeah. So The Mirror was originally had two different voice actors before he wound up being just voiced by the storyboard artist Chris Miller. No relation to the one you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Originally, Jimmy Fallon recorded lines for The Mirror, but that got cut. But before that, you know who they got? Jim Lange, who hosted the dating game back in the 60s.
Oh, that's cool.
They wanted to go all the way out. Damn.
Wait, why did they replace him?
He was cut. I don't know why.
That's dumb.
Before Chris Farley or Mike Myers were ever offered the role of Shrek, Nicolas Cage was offered the role, and he turned it down because he did not want to look like an ugly ogre. Nick Cage, you already look like an ugly ogre.
So that's actually a wise decision he made.
Yeah, that's the last. He turned down that role and it became a great hit. So he decided, I am never turning down a part again. This is one of the first films that a young man known as Jeffrey Abrams worked on. Jeffrey Abrams worked on this movie. You may know him better as J.J. Abrams.
What an M. Night Shyamalanian twist.
What did JJ do on this?
From what I understand, it was because he worked on as part of a Propeller Heads, which was a computer animation group that was under contract by Jeffrey Katzenberg to develop animation for the film.
Whoa.
Why am I out of focus?
Huh.
Yeah, the Propeller Heads was actually what they were called back when they were working on the proto non-CGI version of Shrek, where the backgrounds were all miniatures and then the characters were CGI.
And Bill Murray was going to be Shrek, and
Bill Murray and
Short,
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin was going to be Donkey.
Yeah.
But yeah, J.J. Abrams worked on. This was one of the first things he worked on in his career, even though I don't know if he's actually credited in the final product or not.
I'm looking at the Letterboxd. It doesn't look like he's credited on it.
That's unfortunate, but he did work on the movie in some capacity.
Oh, cool.
Jeffrey.
Farquaad's logo looks like the Facebook logo.
Yeah.
I just want to point that
I've
out.
noticed that.
That's literally all I think of when I see it.
Mark Zuckerberg was like, it's my favorite movie. You know? I like the part where like the short like evil guy like ruled an empire and spread misinformation.
I also just want to bring this up because I just want to shout it out. But there is a project on the internet called Shrek Retold, in which a bunch of artists from all over the internet recreated Shrek scene by scene. It is one of the most beautiful, loving things I've ever seen done for a movie.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. Go check it out if you haven't seen it.
And that's like the beautiful side of the internet too. It just like, you know, for like having like perverted, twisted memes and stuff like that. And then just like, yeah, let's do this fun thing together. You know, just people on the internet. Like, this is cool. You know, that's the beautiful side of the internet. Yeah.
One last thing, because this is the most hilarious one, so I wanted to save it for last. Do you know the very iconic line in the movie where Shrek says, "What are you doing in my swamp?"
What are you doing in my swamp?
Mike Myers was in New York. They were done recording the movie for ages. They were like, well done. And then Mike Myers is in New York and they went, wait a minute. The directors and the producers are like, wait a minute. We never got Mike Myers saying, "What are you doing in my swamp?" So Jeffrey Katzenberg got on a flight to New York City and Myers read that line in the back of a limo.
That's great. Yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
it's perhaps the most iconic line in the movie.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Overall, I just wanted to throw that guys at you, get your quick reactions to that, because Shrek, crazy movie.
Awesome.
Just the production history of it is crazy. You could do an entire podcast just on the production history. But anyway, we all agree, Shrek, good movie, right?
Yep.
Yeah, great. It's a lot of fun.
Very
2 thumbs
solid
up?
movie.
I give 2 thumbs up.
I'll follow the Roger Ebert path and give it 4 stars out of 4.
Hell yeah.
That's so weird. That guy's a weirdo. I love Roger Ebert.
I don't know. There's that one Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets review I read recently.
What did he say?
Described a 13-year-old Emma Watson as on the cusp of babehood.
Ew.
One of the most deeply uncomfortable.
Ew.
What did you say, Joe? What did you say about? Was he like hopped up on painkillers at the time?
No, I was.
Oh.
I was going off on how Roper would say things like that on like specifically like the show that they would host after Gene Siskel died. Like Roper would make comments like that about just like actresses in general. Very specifically Halle Berry, he would do this a lot with. So yeah, it's like reading Ebert do that just and with a fucking 13-year-old is just ugh.
Maybe she was
Ebert
talking
is
about
an
the
important-
cusp of babehood, as in like, 13 years prior, she was a baby.
I love and respect Ebert, but man, come the hell on.
Yeah,
That's
not good.
That's a bit much, man.
But yeah, overall, great movie. Watch it if you haven't. If you haven't watched Shrek, holy shit, that's incredible.
Hey guys, watch Shrek.
To paraphrase an Arnold Schwarzenegger quote from him at the Golden Globes, if you have not seen Shrek, you're the only one that didn't.
Oh wow. and like apparently like Austin's husband was that one person, and now everyone's seen it.
Everyone's seen Shrek.
We found him.
We got him,
Yeah.
ladies and
Good
gentlemen.
job, Barney.
We got him.
Shrek always
Sorry,
finds
Austin.
a way.
The SWAT team's about to break into your house. I recommend getting out.
Yeah.
It's all
But thank you
over
guys
now.
for watching / listening. Andrew, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, this is great.
Well, if we do future Shrek movies, I'll be sure to ask you
Sure, yeah.
if we can have your permission, as you are the owner of the Shrek IP.
That's right, yeah.
I will ask you for permission.
Yeah, I Jeffrey Katzenberg like pricked my finger and has my blood now. So I own Shrek. I also like I also own him literally. He's in my backyard. He just like wanders around like a free range chicken,
He's a free range chicken. Yo, Austin broke out the donkey.
I own Donkey.
Donkey. They've been separated for so long, Donkey and Shrek. So
All right. Thank you guys for watching.
They
Thank
zoom
you
each
guys for
other
coming
every
on.
week though. Like they
zoom each other. They miss each other.
Yeah.
Let them be free. Hashtag free Shrek.
Plugs for me really quickly before is you could listen to my show. I've been meaning to listen to that. It's like a podcast where we like have guests on and they like bring in a record they enjoy, bring in a record they like, and we listen to it and then we talk about it. We go through highlights, lowlights, what it means to us, kind of similar to this show in a lot of ways. And you could just listen to I've been meaning to listen to that. I've been meaning to listen to that. And follow us at IBMTLTT on Instagram and Facebook, and follow me at Andrew A. on Twitter and Instagram. So yeah, that's those are my plugs. So we hope to have some of you guys. We hope to have you guys like on the show sometime too. Yeah, that'd be good.
I will bully my way into coming onto the show again.
Yeah. When is this coming out?
I think we talked about doing a Garth Brooks album. So
when is this episode coming out? Like.
Friday. It is always, we have quick turnarounds.
Okay. Yeah. So like right now we're doing the Perfume Genius month. We're doing 3 episodes of Perfume Genius and then Lana Del Rey's Chemtrails Over the Country Club. And then we'll do Kanye West. We'll do the discography of Kanye West for a month.
Hold on. Do you have a guess for my beautiful dark twisted fantasy?
We did it already. It's done already.
Just awkwardly edit me and like, I love this album. It changed my life.
Yeah, and that episode is really, really good. I'm very proud of how that episode turned out. So look forward to that.
All right. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified when we upload more videos. If you are listening to this, make sure you follow us on the Spotify's, the Anchors, or the whatever. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's all some variation of Bomb Squad Productions. I guarantee you if you Google it, you'll find us. BombSquadProductions.com. Thank you for watching / listening. We will all see you next time.
Bye.
Peace, bitches.
I got Shreked.
Bomb Squad Productions.
I just slid my ticket across the table and said, "Sorry guys, I gotta see about a girl."